Thank you, Wes, so much for taking time to come together with me and Shan and the Green Path team. We
Man, no
wanted
problem.
to just kind of connect a little bit and give some people some information. I'm with you, Wes. I'm not leaving out. I'm not leaving. Whatever, the kid. Whatever.
Exactly.
The kids team Android forever.
Hmm. Cheers, Wes. Um, But yeah, so thank you everybody for joining with us and being patient with us. We wanted to make sure we brought some information to y'all. Wes and I have been working together since before, well, right at COVID. Shout out to Alex Hall for bringing us together.
That's right.
He was the lender for Alex, and it was a very smooth transaction that prompted me to have a conversation with Wes and us become partners in real estate.
That's right. That's right. Hey, quick question. Y'all drink out of mason jars? Y'all
I do
country?
For
love a mason
sure,
jar.
and do, and will.
But I had to come with my brand tonight. I did not bring the mason jar. I had to come with the brand.
All right. I had to check.
Yes. So, again, the reason that we were getting together today was to talk about a little bit with some loans, some people that who may want to do some multifamily things, some investing. How can they use their equity? Wes, let's jump right into it. And
Let's do it.
I know for me, as a homeowner, and I bought my house in 2010, I often wonder, what can I do with some of the equity that I have built in my house? How can I pull it out? What can I use it for? And how can I keep flipping that money?
Yeah. So it's crazy, right? Like equity is at a historical high for the United States. Um, as of the end of quarter three, 2024, the average homeowner had $311,000 in equity. Average, right? So that means a whole lot of people got more than that.
Nice.
Um, the mindset has to be that your house is a savings account. Whether you have one house or 10 houses or 50 houses, every house you have is a savings account. So you realize if you got money in your savings account, it's just sitting there, it's collecting dust. So me, and everyone that we attempt to influence, right, LaShanda, we try to get them to think of, if you've got money sitting, it's on vacation while you get up every day and work. That don't make sense, right?
Right.
What does it make sense for? So you got money sitting in your house savings account, just like you got it sitting in Wells Fargo checking savings, Bank of America checking savings, Navy Federal checking savings, same
Hmm.
way, right? So what you can do with that equity is, I mean, it's pretty limitless. I mean, if you got an idea, you can use your equity to make that idea come to life. Whether that be purchasing other real estate, whether that be starting a business, whether that be investing in a friend's business, whether that be investing in a friend's real estate, whether that be investing in a hedge fund. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. The only possibility that shouldn't be a possibility is just leaving that money sitting there collecting dust on vacation while you get up every day and go to work. Because if you do that, 30 years later, you still gonna be getting up every day going to work. You're gonna still have a lot of equity in your house, but you wasted a lot of opportunity now, didn't you? So if you got 311,000 equity in your house, let's just say that's average. Let's just call it 300 even. That means if you've got solid credit, you can access at least 240,000 of
Paul,
that, right?
we got a question. What is solid credit since you said solid credit? What does that credit score look like
Mm.
to pull some of the equity out?
So solid credit, I would call anything over 740, right? That's solid credit in my world. Now, can you have lower than 740 and get pull money out of your house? Sure, you can have as low as a 580, you know. But if you have as low as a 580, you're going to have to do a refinance. Nobody's going to give you a second mortgage with a score in the
So a
500s. So
HELOC
you'll
is
have
a
to do
second mortgage?
huh?
A HELOC, is that a second mortgage?
That's right. Yeah, it goes behind the first. So you keep your first, right? Your three, if you bought 4 years ago, your 3% interest rate, right? And you get a HELOC. HELOCs, home equity lines of credit, are based off of prime. So I think prime is 7.25 now. So they're prime plus. So a lot of people don't want to refinance right now because rates are in the sixes and sevens. And if you
Hmm.
get bought in 2019, 2020, 2021, your rates in the twos, threes, fours, you don't want to lose that rate. So you get a HELOC to access that money in your house. And the cool thing about it is, you buy a house 5 years ago You've got $300,000 sitting in it. You can borrow against that money, use that money to help you grow, and that money is tax free because the government cannot tax loans, right?
Okay.
So, for example, if you were to take a 300K distribution from your IRA, which you may also have, you're going to get taxed on that money,
For
right?
sure.
But if you pull that money out of your
Twice.
house, the government can't touch it, right? So that money can then grow tax free, right? So and the thing is, you got to be strategic about it because you don't want to just pull money out of your house and then just sit it in your savings account. Because what you do, you went from one savings to the other, and now keep in mind, this is the cool thing about HELOCs though. They work like credit cards, right? So if you got a 200K HELOC and you're not using any of it, you're not making any payments, right? Whereas if you got a $200,000 mortgage, you're making payments every month towards that 200K. Well, if you got a 200K HELOC, if you're not using it right now, then you're not making any payments. Just like your Bank of America credit card with the $20,000 credit line, you don't have a balance, you're not making any payments, right? Same concept. So that's one cool thing. That's another cool thing about HELOC. So they just have so many advantages and so many people. I mean, literally, this is probably the most ideal time in the history of the United States. And a lot of people like to say this is the best time, this is the best time. This is legit the best time to pull money out of your house because nobody has more money in their house than they have right now.
Most
right?
people, yeah.
So it's something to consider. Bring that idea to life, that idea that's going to keep you from having to get up every morning and trade your time for money. If that's something that you do, of course. I'm talking to everybody. So I don't, some people are obviously already retired and living the life they want to live. But for the rest of us, right, we gotta figure out, ways to get there, to bridge that gap to where we are to where we want to be. And I don't know about y'all, but I prefer the most important thing to me is not necessarily money freedom, it's time freedom.
Amen.
So to be able to control my time and use it however I want to. And the only way I can do that is if my money is working
Right.
so that I can be free.
Got it.
Right?
Cool. So some of those things that you can use a HELOC for, could that be a college for your children? Could that be an investment property? Could that be beyond fixing up your house? Because we always say, oh, you can take out a HELOC and do some upgrades, but there's limitless to what people can do with a HELOC, right?
Yeah. And I'm a proponent of only using a HELOC if you're going to use the money to grow. So for example, finishing your basement, that's something people do. But if you had the opportunity to put your basement on Airbnb, then that's a good idea, right? But if you just finish in the basement so that you can have your buddies over or your girls over, I mean, you can do it, but I'm not the biggest proponent of that, right? And you mentioned sending kids to college. That is definitely an option. But remember, sending kids to college, there's no return on
That's
that investment.
my motto.
I mean, at least not a physical return, right? You get them education and that's invaluable, but there's no physical return on that investment. So ideally, you got a 529 or some other college fund to take care of those things. So really, if you're pulling money out of your house, that money needs to be going to work. So this bringing you more money at the end of every month.
Invest.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I like to think of my money. I tell everybody this. I think of my money as my children. I'm never going to send my children anywhere and not know how they're getting home.
That's
Right? So if I'm sending money out, I gotta know how it's coming back. And I hope I need it to be bringing friends with it. I don't want my kids to bring friends, but I want my money to bring more friends.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I love it.
So adopting that mindset has been critical for me, during my journey. And I've been at this almost 19 years now. That's crazy. But
Say that again, West 19 what?
19
That's
years.
what I'm talking about. That's experience for you, y'all. Can't buy that nowhere.
You can't make this up.
But wait, hold on, wait. You said something that I had to write down real quick because I'm gonna have to probably have an offline conversation with you, or we have to do another live later. 529. You said let's you putting money into a 529. What is that?
That's a tax deferred college fund. I think they call it Coverdale account.
All right, y'all write that down. Coverdale account 529.
Yeah, it's college savings. So you can put don't get me the line on the specifics, but you can either contribute money pre-tax or post-tax from your paycheck or however you want to. And it go as long as it's paying for education related expenses for your children down the road, it's tax free.
Got
You
it.
can use it tax free.
Let me make
So
sure.
that's what I would recommend for that. A HELOC is an option, but it's not the option there's an option that's tailor made for that, and it's 529.
Got it. Let me make sure I say this disclaimer, y'all. We are not tax professionals. We are not CPAs. We are not accountants. We are not
That's right.
attorneys. We are lenders and we are realtors. All right.
That's right.
So any information
That's
that we're
right.
giving you is coming from that perspective and that perspective only. But
That's
he's
right.
dropping nuggets. Take note and then do your own research. And then of course, if you have questions, circle back and we can put you in
Do what
contact
works
with
for
people
you.
we know.
Do what works for you. Because that's the thing. I mean, there's so many ways to skin this cat, right? It's not like one size fits all. This is how you have to do it to become financially free or time freedom or whatever the case may be. Do what works for you. You know, educate yourself, find out as many options as you can, because it's a lot out there, right?
Mhm.
And and obviously a lot of it we're gonna discuss tonight, but it's even more than that because we're only gonna be here for an hour or so. So
You're right. So it's
educate
almost
yourself as
9
much as
right
you
now. We
can at
already
that
done a
point.
half an hour. Wes, let me get to the next one. All right. So closing on a home loan in 2 weeks.
Right.
Tell us about
So
how you do
so
that.
so what's the
Who do
well
that? Mm-mm.
well well it puts stress on the system, right? It's not an ideal situation, just to be honest. I'm always shoot you straight, right? It's not an ideal situation, but it is a situation that is necessary to be competitive in certain situations. For example, you have sellers who have to move quickly. You have sellers who don't want to make another mortgage payment. You have sellers who ran across a bad buyer, right? They've been under contract 45 days and they terminate because they bought a car the day before. We can name about 50 stories each, can't we? Right? So in situations like that, if you are a buyer who can close quickly, you put yourself at an unfair advantage. And in this market, you want every advantage you can have because we already had buyers already. Let's just be real. In most price points, buyers already have an advantage right now, right?
For sure.
Because interest rates are so high and the market is a little bit thinner than it's
Pause.
usually been.
Pause real quick.
Pause.
You
Okay.
said buyers have a what?
Unfair advantage, a little bit of advantage. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
And buyers right now, you guys have an advantage in this
Yeah.
market. Okay, carry
Yeah.
on. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. Yeah, because I mean it's just less of them, right? And it's economics 101, supply and demand. There's not a lot of supply, but there's less demand than there's been in recent years at this time of the year.
Yes.
Right? So buyers have an advantage in that, and I know you guys are seeing it. We talk about it often as far as, being able to get additional incentives, interest rate buy down, extra seller credits, all these types of things. So when you really think about it, being able to close quickly, it might just add a little bit extra icing on the cake. For example, I'll give you one perfectly right now. We had a buyer in December. They went after a house. The house went under contract with somebody else. They offer got beat out. The buyer called, excuse me, the listing agent called our agent probably about maybe 2 weeks before Christmas, 3 weeks before Christmas tops, and said the buyer they had fell through, and can you guys close this before Christmas? My clients are packed up. They have to close on their house to close on this house. Can you guys get it done before Christmas? If so, what do we need to do to make happen? So the original buyer was getting like 15,000 in closing costs. Our buyer ended up getting about 22,000 in closing costs and paying 5,000 less for the house. So what happens when preparation meets opportunity? Success.
Dang, dang,
So
Wes.
hey, I'm just saying. So 2 weeks, it needs to happen sometimes. And if you're in a situation where you can be that competitive, you stand to make yourself a little bit of money,
For
Mm,
sure.
okay, okay.
or keep a little more. One of
Keep they
those.
actually was able to in that case they were able to keep a little bit more.
That's it.
Okay. Moving right along because I do want to make sure we are respected for time.
That's right.
Long. So Wes, you and I have definitely had a client that we have worked with personally for no doc loans. What in the world is a no doc loan? And I'm gonna just say my little small piece. I've had definitely a lot of people that will call me and give me their scenario, and a lot of the scenarios are either self-employed people or people who make money but are afraid or have not done filed the taxes that they need to file, or
Yeah.
hadn't paid the taxes they need to pay, or
Yeah.
old child support, or just got situations.
Yeah. Situations.
There is a,
Yeah.
from what I understand, right, there is a no doc or some type of program that they can tap into, because one of the things I tell people is never a no or denial. It's always just not right now, or
Mm-hmm.
it's a few things you need to have. You need to have credit and money, or you need to have money and you need to have, be able to document and show that you have it, right?
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about this loan program that you have?
Yeah. So no dot loans. If you ask the wrong person, they'll say no dot loans corrupted the real estate market 15, 16 years ago, which in some small feet they did. But the reason that they did was because there was no reason to build. There was not enough reasonability and risk management associated with them. So, for example, the scales of justice always have to balance, right? So, in other words, if you're going to put less down, then you need to have better credit. If you're going to put a lot down, your credit shouldn't be as important. Because think about it like this: if I buy a house for 300K and I put nothing down, and then Chandra, you buy a house for 300K and you put 20% down, and the market crashes. This is not a real story. This won't happen, but the market crashes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, me, I didn't put anything down. I lost my job. I'm kind of like, I'm out of here. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
Chandra, you're going to keep that house. Why? Or you're going to do everything you can to keep it. Why? Because
Why?
your 60 grand is
Yeah,
50.
I
Yeah,
put
for sure.
money
And
into
we,
it.
That
yes.
reasonability didn't exist 15 years ago because of corporate greed and capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
right? That reasonability now exists. So you can do the same thing. You can put 60 grand down on that house, right? And then all we're verifying is that really two things: the house cash flows. So what cash flow means is if the mortgage is $3,000, you need to be able to rent it for $3,000 should something go wrong.
That's right.
And most of the times these loans are for investors. It's not really owner occupants that are doing these loans. These loans are mostly for investors,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if the mortgage is going to be 3K, the rent needs to be at least 3K. And we have to document that you have assets. So other than that, you had assets to close. Other than that, we're not checking your tax returns. We don't care. We're not looking at the W-2s. We're not looking at your pay stub. We're not asking about that child support payment coming out. We don't care. None of that stuff matters. So the no-dot loan is very, very advantageous for people who want to take advantage of that. Not to mention the fact that it's also a pretty simple loan process, so it can close pretty quickly. But I'm not going to give you the pros and leave out the cons, right? So real quick, there's not many of them, but the cons of the no doc loan program is the interest rate is higher, the down payment is higher, which we've already talked about, right? If you're talking about an FHA loan, you're talking about 3.5% down.
Government back.
Right. Government backed loan, you're talking about 3 to 5% down. You're talking about a bank statement or other no doc loan. A true no doc loan isn't even a bank statement loan, because bank statement loans you got to provide 3, 12, or 24 months worth of bank statements.
Mm.
The true no doc loan, you're just really providing a month worth of bank statements just to prove you got the money to close, right? So for a bank statement loan, a full fledged no doc loan, you're really not even concerned about. I lost my train of thought, y'all. Hang on, give me 1 second.
I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah, my brain needs one. When you have 4 kids, like, how about now?
We got you. We back.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, so I was saying when we got cut off, I was like 4 kids. So I didn't even notice my phone was dying. It had nothing to do with what I was saying about 4 kids. But man, I tell you, the end of the day, your brain be so spent, y'all. It's crazy. But I love them. I
You
love them.
do.
I
And you
love
got
them.
4 young babies.
13, 4, and 2 times 2.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So we were concluding the just real quickly, right? Because we don't focus on the negative, but I want to tell everybody the truth so they know what they're up against. Because the thing I hate whenever I'm watching something and I'm trying to gain info is if only people give me the sunny side. So I like to hear the reality of it. So again, higher down payment and higher interest rate. And if the
Correct.
property doesn't cash flow, remember I said $3,000 mortgage, at least $3,000 in rent.
That's
If it
right.
doesn't cash flow, that's okay, but that down payment and that rate might go up even more, right? So something to think about. But usually we're if a client is going after that, they're not super concerned about that because no doc loans and bank statement loans, they're meant to be temporary fixes. What
Sorry,
happened?
family life, work life balance. Come on. Puppies are like children, I swear.
They are. So no doubt loans, bank statement loans, they're temporary fixes. They're band-aids. They're not meant to be permanent. Right? So technically you're in a point where you need it. And eventually you're gonna want to refinance into a traditional 30-year fix to get that rate down and to be able to really cash flow as you would want to be. So a lot of times when people are obtaining no doubt loans, they might not cash flow very much. So in other words, you don't want to be long term in a situation where you got a $3,000 a month tenant and a $3,000 mortgage. You're not making any money, right?
And that's
But if you're doing
that's
that
that's
temporarily because you hadn't filed your taxes or you need to make a little more or show a little more this year or something like that, and then when you refi, you'll be at $2,000 a month mortgage. Then that makes a lot of sense for folks in the temporary situation where they don't have to wait to get on the equity train, because as soon as you buy a house, you can get on the equity building train, right? And reap those tax benefits, right?
correct.
So you don't have to
Correct.
wait on that. You just might have to sacrifice cash flow for a temporary period of time.
That
So
is
that's
true.
all there. That's really all there is to it about no doc slash
Mm-hmm.
bank statement loans.
Okay,
Hmm.
so of course, in my profession, I'm always summarizing things. I'm gonna quick sum that up. So for a no doc loan, they need the credit and you need some
Need
money.
credit, need money.
There we
Yep.
go. Sounds
And
good to
for
me.
and you gotta have and credit doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have to be 740. That's ideal, right? 740 plus, just quick disclaimer. If you have a 740, it doesn't matter if you got a 740 or 840. It's the same score in the mortgage industry. So that's
Okay.
A plus credit. All right. So you don't have to have a 740 to obtain these loans. Bank statement loan, you need at least a 660. No doc investor loans, you usually need at least a 620. But the lower the score,
The higher the
higher the
rate.
rate and the down payment.
Yeah.
So keep those things in mind. Govern yourselves accordingly.
Amen. Got it. All right, we are moving right along. Wes, thank you so much for the gems while you were gone. We did get a question in. Shan seemed like she just dropped off. The question was, I think it's tapping into that maybe the 529 thing. They asked if the you can move it into an IRA. I really don't know.
I
Janice, can you expand on the question?
I believe you can. I believe you can move 529. That's a question for a financial advisor. I've asked that question before and I've gotten the answer before, but I don't remember what the answer is.
Got it.
So you
Right,
can
so we'll leave it alone.
a quick Google search to get you the answer, but I believe you can move money from a 529 to a IRA.
Got it. Okay.
But don't quote me on that and don't sue me.
Again, for those that have just joined, we are not attorneys. We are not CPAs. We are not financial advisors. I am a realtor. I help everyone that I know buy, sell a home, or invest into a home, or do commercial property. Wes is a mortgage broker lender. He is not a CPA or an accountant, nor a real estate attorney. So the
That's
information that you're receiving tonight is just strictly
that's
informational.
right. That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Okay.
I bet Shonda's phone died too. See, we weren't planning to use our phones tonight, so I didn't even
Well, she.
think to charge it.
Hey, you know what?
See,
Um, I don't know what's going on with Shannon, her
Mark
phone. I
Zuckerberg, man, that's why I don't
I
mess
had to
with him.
charge mine. It's on the charger as we are live because my stuff be on low too, and I got more than one phone. So hey,
Yeah.
all right, let me try to see if I can get Shan back on. I think she got her thing figured out. She told me to bring her back in. Shan, I sent you the invite. Um, Next up is for me, something I definitely want to learn about a little bit. I've wanted to tap into it. I know people that want to tap into it, and this is multi-generational and housing. Like, how in the world
Mm,
in this economy? I'm gonna talk about. Actually, let me get real. Y'all know I got two boys that are both over the age of
mm,
18 that live at home, and right now, but the affordability is a little challenging for them to move out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for them to be able to maybe invest into a duplex, and both of my boys stay there. So let's talk about this multifamily thing. How can we tap into that? I know we can use our home equity line of credit to do it with the HELOC, because we can invest into it, because that's going to generate us some money, whether it's our family living there and we're charging them rent, or if they do it themselves. What does that look like, Wes?
Right. So one of my favorite little idioms or sayings is success leaves clues. All right. So what that means is, if you go back to if you go to your run of the mill house that was built in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you'll find that the living room's small, the bedrooms are small, the closets are everything's small, right? It was literally built for a single family. Well, now, what's everybody building? Everybody got at least 2,000 square feet. Most people got 3,000, 4,000 plus, for no exceptional reason, because most people don't need that much living space, right? However, back then when houses cost, 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever the case, whatever the number was, of course, that was a lot of money then. Um, and now, of course, everybody's building these larger homes than what they actually need, with these huge walk-in two-story closets and foyers and porte-cocheres and anything else in with a fancy A. So now it's time for us as Americans, as folks who are natively born here, maybe not where we from, but natively born here, us as Americans, to take a page out of the books of other nationalities, the Latino culture, many parts of Asia, many parts of Europe, and of course several parts of Africa, right, where multi-generational housing is the norm, right? The grandparents, the parents, and the children are all in the same house,
Yep.
and the children don't leave a lot of times in most of those cultures until they get married, right? So what I'll say is this: I prepared this statistic because it's to me it's jaw dropping. In the last 18 months, we have closed 27 loans with 3 or more borrowers.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
now listen,
awesome.
I've been doing this for 19 years. In the previous 17 years, we
Mhm.
might have closed 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a real thing.
Mm-mm.
Why is that
Wow.
number increasing? Because when you add more borrowers, you can afford
Right.
more house. And of course,
Yep.
now
That's
folks
right.
now folks are kind of having to do it, right? Because, wages aren't keeping up with the price of housing, right?
Mhm.
So it makes sense. Grandma's getting 3,000 and 1,500 from Social Security and pension, and granddad is getting 1,500 from Social Security, and mommy and daddy are making 5,000 a month apiece. Well, if you add all that together, that's 15 or so thousand dollars a month.
Mhm.
Whereas if they do that individually, oh, they struggling.
And the
You know what I mean? They can
taxes.
they can barely afford anything,
Right.
right?
Right.
So now you just buy and you don't really even have to buy a slightly larger house. You just have to be more realistic, because the thing is, you don't really need 6 bedrooms and you a family of 4. You want it, but you don't need it, right? So
Mhm.
now folks are kind of having to give in to more of their needs versus their
Yeah.
wants,
True.
because the economy is making them do so. So multi-generational housing is something that a lot of people should consider. Just buying a larger house to house more people, right?
Mhm.
So, and it doesn't have to be everybody on top of each other. It can be a lot of space. It can have multiple garages or whatever the case may be. You can buy a house with land and
Mhm.
build ADUs. ADU is an accessory dwelling unit. So think about a garage with a apartment
Bedroom
above
at the
it,
top.
Yeah.
or an
That's
apartment,
nice.
or a pool house or something like that.
Mhm.
Not necessarily a pool house, but that concept,
I got what you're
right?
saying.
Right. So those things like that, and then you got the kids in the house over the room over the garage, and you got the grandparents in the place out back, and then the parents and the younger kids maybe are in the house,
Mhm.
right? And that situation right there allows everybody to have their own personal space, but they're also using everybody's income to be able to afford something that everybody's comfortable with. They won't be in jeopardy of losing, right? Because it's one person trying to justify the mortgage and they get laid off and they can't afford it anymore. So I mean, this is where we're headed, as long as the wage gap continues to widen over property value.
Correct.
So in our community, that's not something we really see very
It's
often. For
not.
one, we don't really see us buying a house beyond for our immediate family, meaning me, my husband, my kids, or me, myself as a single mom, or just me,
Yep.
myself. I'm not buying a house to shelter my, sister and her family.
Right.
But
Correct.
we're seeing now, at least I know I am, because even in some things I've done with some people who had to rent a property, we're putting 3 and 4 people on a lease to make sure the affordability is there, right? That they can afford to be there.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so it's becoming more and more common. What does that look like when you have 3 people that need to apply for a loan?
So Freddie doesn't have a limit, but the limit unspoken is 4 borrowers. So you
Okay.
can put up to 4 people on a mortgage loan,
Okay.
or on a mortgage loan application,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everybody's credit worthiness is considered, everybody's income is considered,
Yep.
right? And of
Four
course,
people. Yep.
yep, 4 people, and technically, you only need the assets of one person. If Granddaddy got 100K in his checking account, well, you don't really need to verify anybody else's assets, do you? Because you got enough for the down payment and hopefully closing costs with that money right there.
To pause you real quick. You said assets, but assets is different than income. So you still need to verify the other 2 people's income to qualify for the loan, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody's income and credit worthiness will be considered if they're on the loan,
Okay.
right?
All right.
But we only have to consider enough assets to get the loan done. So if
So
you
let's
need
just say
50,
we have a home that's paid off and they gonna sell their house and use the assets from that. You can use that as well.
if they have a home that's paid off and they're gonna sell the house, and yeah,
Yeah.
they can
Okay.
use the proceeds. You mean use the proceeds?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure, most definitely.
Cool.
Or a HELOC. They can pull
Or a
if they don't
HELOC.
want to sell the
Yep.
house. They can get a HELOC on the house
Pull
and,
it,
and
rent
use
it out, keep the house, and
bingo,
take the money.
bingo,
Okay.
bingo.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
But I know y'all want to sell it.
Well, we trying to pull generational wealth. We trying to keep everything in the family. Okay.
That's
Well,
right.
here
That's right.
at Green Path Real Estate,
Yeah, Green Path
We
Real
trying to
Estate.
build.
we do specialize in selling homes and getting you top
But we
dollar
like
for
to see
it.
our clients build as
That's
well.
right.
That's right.
But we
That's
do
right.
want to see you build some
That's
wealth.
right.
All
Yeah.
right. So Wes, we got like 10 minutes left.
All right.
And I know for me, I have a lot of questions. I know Shan get it too, because me and Shan be brainstorming that thing. We attended a class
Brainstorming.
about a year ago. Shout out to Gene Johnson with the builder We Build Builders
Yep.
group. Went to that. How does someone who cannot find the house that they like and love build a house? What does that look like? What
Yes.
kind of
What
loan
kind
can
of
they get? What kind of credit they need? And
yes.
how much moolah they
Yeah.
need?
So the cool thing about it, I think a lot of people are mysterious about how it works. It's Fannie Mae, Freddie, FHA, VA, everybody you've heard of. They all have construction loan programs, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not this mystical process where you got to put 25% down and all this kind of stuff. No, it's slight modifications, but it's Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what's VA? 100% finance. Everybody knows that, right? Well,
Yep.
it's 100% financing if you're building too, right? So
Real.
this, yep. So this is what we recommend. Um, I always tell people, if possible, buy the land cash,
Absolutely.
and a lot of times,
Okay.
the land is bought cash by, if they have a house already, pulling equity out of the house with a HELOC, and then using the HELOC money to purchase the land. And the reason you do that, as a veteran, it doesn't really matter because it's 100% financing. But let's just say it's an FHA construction loan. The reason you
Mm-hmm.
do that, because if you own free and clear land, the equity in the land serves as your down payment. Okay, so
Okay.
you don't have to you don't have to pay down payment, and we can finagle closing costs a little bit. So construction loans work out pretty well in those situations. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we will tell people, like, say for example, you bought land that cost 50K, you bought a half acre somewhere. and it cost $50,000, and you paid cash for it. So that's $50,000 in equity. And let's just say you want to build a 3,000 square foot house. I use 2,000. I use 200 a foot just on an average,
Mm-hmm.
right? To say that's how much it's going to cost to build a 3,000 square foot house. 200 times 3,000 is 600K.
Mm-hmm.
It could be cheaper than that. It just depends on your finishes and the builder you find and all that kind of stuff. But if you got to build that 3K house on that $50,000 lot, and you put 600K to build it, and then you got 50K already in equity, so really you're only borrowing 550, right? In that situation, that works out great for a lot of folks because now they got everything they want, and they can possibly build a multi-generational house that we were talking about and have space to add an ADU later. And that ADU doesn't even have to be for family, guys. That ADU could be an Airbnb. An ADU, again, is an accessory dwelling unit. That's what we call it in the industry, but that's just any house, or excuse me, any structure that's on a property that's not the main home.
Let me just
So it can be
see if
a
I can
guest
clarify that.
house.
I'm gonna paint a picture real quick. Could
Mhm.
that be that I come to you after I bought some land out in Locust Grove, cash, and I
Yep.
say, Wes, I got my land. I'm gonna build this house. You give me the approval to build this house, but in addition to building this house, I want to build a detached garage, and above that detached garage, maybe a little 2 bedroom,
Yep.
small kitchenette
With small kitchen. Yep.
apartment, so have you. Does my construction loan allow me to get that detached garage? That
Yep.
what you call it?
ADU.
The
Eh,
ADU. Can I do that?
Yep. Yep. As long as the local building code, local municipality allows it. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
And
Wes,
again, we
does
don't
that
work for
work
the
for
city
barn
though.
dominiums too?
Yeah. Mhm.
That works for barn dominiums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barn dominium will be. I mean, a barn dominium could be the main house or a ADU. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
it
right.
does. Hmm. Yep.
All
Okay,
right.
cool.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
So I was gonna. And one reason we recommend paying cash is because a lot of people selling land are not willing to wait
At
for
all.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're not willing to wait at all. And just to be honest, most people buying land are paying cash,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, being competitive and making sure you get the best deal possible, you ideally do want to pay cash. But you
Yes.
can finance the loan as part of the you can finance the land as part of the construction loan. So that can happen. But most times we don't do that. I say out of 10 times, 8 times, folks are buying the land cash, and then coming, showing up with the deed, and hey, we got our plans, we got our builder, let's get this going.
Now I know this one right here is not all. This is definitely not on our topics, but very quickly, since we're talking about land, I definitely get this question a lot. Can or how does someone finance land? Is that even possible? Because
Yeah.
um I have my own little theory in back of my mind on why you should not buy land through financing unless you're doing a construction loan, right? But just to finance land by itself without a plan for construction, you just want
Oh
to say,
no.
"Hey, I saw these 5 acres over here. That's 60,000. Can I go to Cross Country Mortgage and talk to Wes, and he gonna help me finance this
Yeah.
without a plan to build?"
Yeah. Yeah. You can. Yeah, you can buy. You're gonna put 25 to 35% down,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not really a big deal because you're talking about probably $100,000. So you're talking about 25 to 35K. You
Yeah,
know
so
what I
if that's the
mean?
case, you might as well just go ahead and buy it cash, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, you can get a land loan, a lot loan is what we industry wide call it. And you don't have to have a plan for it. I mean, a lot of folks will purchase land and use it for auxiliary purposes, ATVs, timber farms, and timber farms, of course, are going to be very large. I mean, you talking about probably hundreds, if not thousands, of acres in those situations. But if you're just talking about 5 acres in McDonough, like you said, that we're gonna use for go karts, or we're gonna use for hunting, or we're gonna end up maybe putting a paintball field there or something like that eventually. You don't have to have a plan. You can just buy the land and sit on it if you like. That can be your choice. It's your
But what I heard
prerogative.
from you was you buy the land, but you still are using that land to generate money. You're not just financing a piece of land with the intention of maybe 10 years from now, me and Uncle Joe gonna build this house, right?
No, no, I do.
Speaking of when you building a home from ground up, do they have to have particular builders? Can my client and Uncle Joe go and build this house together, or do they have to
They
have
gotta have,
particular
they
builders?
gotta have a state licensed general contractor. So
You
if Uncle
see.
Joe is state licensed, then there you go. But if Uncle
Mm-hmm.
Joe isn't, no go, no handyman,
No.
no, no, no,
Mean they
You
no.
know
can't
how
call
we
Joe Buckner
do.
from around the
Nah,
corner.
You know
They
nope.
how
use they
we
use they
do.
use
You know
they,
how we do. We had these
Nah,
plans and visions.
nah.
You know, my
you
granddaddy
know,
Mm-mm.
bought his land. He built his house himself, and some
they're
people did
right.
it way back in the day.
Right,
But that
right.
Yep.
protection now don't allow that to happen,
Mm-mm.
right?
Nah,
Okay.
not getting a bank loan. Nah,
Yeah.
you can do that cash, but not getting a bank loan.
Got
Uh-uh.
it, got it, got it. And I'm gonna throw one more thing out for people to know too. I've had some clients that have bought land way, way out in South Georgia.
Yeah,
You may can even do it in North Georgia. They use this land strictly for the seasons of deer hunting and duck hunting and all of that. So
yep,
you can buy land, y'all, like he just said, for cash or financing a lot and
Mm-hmm.
make money off of it.
yeah.
So,
Sale permit.
uh, yeah, just follow
Yep.
permits with the county. Again, we're not county workers, we're not attorneys, we're not CPAs, none of
No,
that.
you can sell permit. Like you can sell leases. Y'all
Oh yeah, yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with
The
it?
permit.
Oh,
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay,
lease it
yes.
out.
yeah.
Okay,
You
yeah.
so if you like if it's got to be like it can't be in a a densely populated area, but like you said, South Georgia, in a rural area, you picking up 20 acres at $3 grand an acre. You spent 60K. Yes, you got
Yeah,
deer
I got
all
a
on it,
client in West
rabbit
Georgia.
all on it.
Uh-huh.
In North Georgia, you got bears. Whatever the case, because everything obviously has seasons, right? So yeah, and you can sell permits, and that's
That's
another
exactly
stream of
what they do.
income.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what they do. They had some land that they sold off, and with that land they sold off, they actually had an agreement that was coming to an end as we came to closing for people who had rights to go onto that property and to, do their hunting. So
yep,
that's another way to make some income beyond just a traditional way of making
that's right.
income.
And
Yeah.
that's what we were saying. It's like it's not one way to skin the cat. There's so many ways to have your money bring your friends back. It's
I like that.
we gotta be
Had
resourceful
a
and
kid
figure it out.
to bring some friends.
That's right. That's right. No.
Well, guess what, Wes? We
What's that?
did really good tonight. It
Hey,
is just 9:30. We covered each and every single
hey.
topic. Yay!
Yay. Mm-mm.
I'm gonna close with this. I want to make sure I introduce everybody once again for anyone that joined late. Tonight we had Wesley Murphy on. He is the lender, the go-to guy with Cross Country Mortgage. We have Chandra Manzuela on. She is the go-to realtor with Green Path
Venezuela.
Real Estate. Chandra, thank you for being a part of my wonderful
Way
team.
to
I
go.
love you so much.
Love it. Love it.
Wes, thank you again. I appreciate any and everyone. If you didn't ask questions on this live because you was afraid or whatever the case may be, hit
Don't
me
be
up in the
scared.
DM. Hit Wes up. He's on this live. Hit Shan up. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Have a great night. Happy Love Day tomorrow.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Night, ladies.
Bye.